Welcome. Back to normality again. Here we go.
You've got stickers over there, do you want some?
Yeah, there's all stickers, there's PPE over there as well. Hand sanitiser, gloves.
Got my own one.
We've got it. So,
got a badge.
first demo of the year. December. We had the demo, nothing seemed to have happened and materialised or anything. But what we have seen, we've seen Harrow take all their road closures up. So, absolutely. I think it's a great thing that everyone's coming together today, but I think we need a lot more people. We're outside the lovely town hall, Islington town hall, where this is our building, as is the Tony's. Okay? Don't be afraid to be standing outside here, because this is where we live. So, no further ado, I'm going to bring it over to Sean, and he's going to say a few things.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, and the beautiful people of Islington. Yeah. I knew the gods would shine down on us today. Please shine down on us. And I just want to say, I've got to say, a great big thank you to Gary. Gary is probably the most honourable person I've ever met in my life, so thank you, Gary. But it is an absolute travesty of justice that we have to be here today, almost a year after our initial demonstration against these persecutory and draconian road closures. Almost a year, can you believe that? But the simple fact is, the council still isn't listening. Besides that, I quite often have people come up to me and accuse me of the reasons why I don't like LTNs, low traffic neighbourhoods, is because I simply do not like change. Now think about that for a moment. I know every single one of you here today have gone through significant changes in your life. I know that. And yet now you have people who don't even know you. In fact, people who don't even have a relationship with London tell you what you should and shouldn't like. That is shameful. Now quite often I respond to these people by saying that it's not change so much that I don't like, but what I cannot stand, and I can't emphasise this enough, but what I cannot stand is change that ushers in social injustice. That's what I cannot stand. I cannot stand change that disregards the needs of the most vulnerable in the community. I cannot stand change that dismisses the elderly, the frail, the wheelchair dependent, those with sensory issues, and those people who carry out their daily duties, such as Alison Prince, who's a carer, and the lady at the back whose son is living with autism. That is the kind of change that I cannot stand. I cannot stand inequity. I cannot stand discrimination against people who live, work, play, go to school and suffer pollution on residential main roads. That's what I cannot stand. I cannot stand local businesses who, when they show their concerns, are treated like they are merely collateral damage. That's what I cannot stand. But I'll tell you something, what overrides all of that, and let's get really serious here, because what overrides all of that is politicians and bureaucrats that think it's okay to perpetuate policies that divide our communities more than ever. That is what I cannot stand, because that is what they have done. They have picked up local people, they have turned them upside down and smashed them on their heads, and that to me is a socially unjust abomination. Yes! What we have now is a tale of two cities, between the haves and the have-nots. We most certainly have a tale of two Islingtons, but not only that, we have a tale of two Ealings, of two Chiswicks, of two Lewishams, of two Lamberts, of two Greenwiches, of two Tower Hamlets, of two Camdens, of two Enfields, and most certainly a tale of two Hackneys. Yes! We have a tale of two Londons that is divided by social injustice, and that is a disgrace! There is, however, a glimmer of hope. On May the 6th, there is a mayoral election and there is a number of local by-elections. And what we need to do, as a collective, what we need to do is consolidate and maximise our voting potential. That's what we need to do. Because only by optimising our vote do we get rid of the fascist utopia that resides in that town hall and in town halls across London. That is what we need to do. So on May the 6th, we need to come together as a collective, and this time next year at the actual local elections, we need to vote collectively, and maybe then we can throw this lot out amongst the rubbish that they are not collecting on a weekly basis. Thank you Islington. It is fantastic to be here again today. Now I could talk absolutely interminably, but absolutely with the fascist utopia kicked out this time next year, that is most certainly a change that I know you lot would love, not just like, but love. So I'm going to hand back to the Honourable Gary, but I do know that we've got one or two residents who are absolutely detrimentally impacted by these measures. They're going to say a few words. We've got a couple of candidates as well going to say a few words. We've even got a couple of opposing candidates. So all I would say is show some respect, show them absolutely some love, and listen to what they've got to say. Like I said, I'm going to hand you back to the Honourable Gary, and he will do the honours. Thank you, and God bless Islington.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you. Right, well, Sean has basically said everything that needs to be said for now. Right, so I'm going to hand over to the first candidate for the independent of the councillors. We're asking Mr. Martin Perks.
Oh, okay, here we go. Get out of practice. I'm campaigning in Bunhill to stand as an independent candidate, May the 6th by-election. And basically I want to tell you why I've decided to stick my neck out and stand. Interesting decision, but the by-election came up and I kind of felt I had no choice, I had to do it. It's sort of one of those moments you either go for it or you regret it for the rest of your life. I'm standing very simply because I'm a Democrat. That is what I'm standing for, that's my principle in life. It outrages me that they think they can run roughshod over every one of us, making decisions for us, doing little to really engage us or consult us. I think that has been an outrage for not just this year, but for 10, 20 years. And I think that this is a battle more than road closures. Road closures are outrageous, but to me this is a battle between them in there and us, the public, you people, looking at me and listening and campaigning with me over the last few weeks, years and months, being annoyed, outraged by the gap between the bureaucrats, the technocrats in that building we're trying to get into, and what each and every one of us live and experience ourselves, that there's a huge disconnect. And I think that one of the problems we face with is that plainly the politicians, the bureaucrats, the councillors have failed to engage us. All they do instead is online consultations, a quick opinion poll, a survey. That's their excuse. That's their excuse to never really talk to you in public. They might do a Zoom, but that's not good enough, and we demand better representation and engagement. So for me, the road closures are the tip of the iceberg of the problem they fail to engage us with politically. COVID provided them with the excuse. Political opportunism, as I describe it. Tories and Labour, under the guise of COVID, were using the road closures to try and provide themselves with a sense of political legitimacy, or purpose even. They thought closing the roads will give them a sort of credibility amongst the population, the public. They could do something once they thought was positive. Of course, we have showed them that is a completely ridiculous idea, a policy that never worked, and of course has created more division, more chaos, more carnage than we've seen for a long time. All they're doing is displacing the problem, thinking it will go away. And we're here to show them it hasn't gone away, and we're going to fight them all the way to stop it. And I think, as I say, this is a problem for me, not just about road closures, it's about our autonomy, our right as citizens to make choices about how we go about our lives, how we live, even how we choose to drink, smoke, what transport we choose, what we choose to eat. Even today, there's a story in the BBC saying that they're now going to ban coal-based fireplaces, presumably also Arga cookers, and everything else we choose to use in our homes. Again, not only are they content with banning us from driving cars, they also want to ban how you heat yourselves under pretense of being environmentally friendly. What does that mean? It means we're all going to freeze to death in the winter, where we can only look at a nice TV screen of a fireplace rather than have the warmth of one in the pleasure of our own homes. They won't stop at anything when it comes to regulating how we live our lives. What they're doing there, of course, is not providing us with adequate resources, transportation, heating, and so on. Instead, what they do all the time is blame us. We are the problem to them. We are the problem to be controlled and regulated to death, rather than us thinking that they should provide us with adequate public services that allow us to get on with our lives as we choose. That's what we should be demanding. Get out of our lives and stop regulating and micromanaging us in terms of how we live. We demand more freedom, more autonomy. We're adults. We're able to think for ourselves. Thank you very much. I'll tell you, I've met some interesting characters on my walking up and down 40 tower blocks in the States over the last 3 weeks in Bunhill. It's been a revelation. Community is not dead. Community is only hidden away. That's no surprise to me, because the Labour Party especially have smashed local communities for the last 20, 30 years. It's no wonder people are too shy and afraid to come out in public and say what they really think. But I tell you what, because we're standing as independent candidates, it's now a chance to reverse that and give people a real voice that's been taken away from them. That's what I'm about. I'm about political engagement, about finding, listening to people and giving them a public voice that has been denied to them, and they've been castigated, been people like Thornbury and others who still think we're the white working class racists. Nothing could be further from the truth. This is about us fighting back. But the final thing I'll say is that we have to fight back through independent politics, not through continuing to support mainstream parties, the Tories or Labour. I don't care what local candidates say about themselves under those banners. The Tories and Labour have done more than anything to destroy our autonomy and independence, and they'll go further every day to do the same thing. Now, if you decide to vote Labour or Tory, that's of course your choice, but you're prolonging their survival. You're prolonging the time when we start to take ownership of politics ourselves. And I'm going to say to you, in Bunhill, and Jodie Graber here is the Peters, now is the time to reverse that. Now is the time to cut the lifeline of the Tory party and the Labour Party, and now is the time for a real independent voice. That is what I'm standing for, democracy. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we've got the second speaker now. We've got Niall Hoxton.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming. And what I want to talk about here is about you. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah. What I really want to talk today about is about you, about Islington. Not this group or that group, but you, because I think we all owe you a great debt. So it's about 10 months since I came to my first Islington demo against road closures. and it made a real impression on me. And I've been to many demos over the years, but there was nothing quite like this. And I was impressed by your attitude, by your bolshiness. I was impressed when you said, these are our streets, and you stood out there and you marched, and you said, these are our streets, we won't be pushed around like Jogsworth and petty politicians. And I was impressed when you demanded that the council open up the roads and we get the city back. So I'm so impressed that I came back the next week with a microphone and a voice recorder and a camera, and I interviewed some people, and I wrote an article for Spiked Online, which was one of the first articles against road closures. And I met some great people, and you set me on my way really, because it's been all that ever since. Keep it together. So for the last 10 months I've been working with horrendous Hackney road closures as one of the organisers, with Danny and Shiva who sets it up, and Josie, also people we need to give a big round of applause for all the hard work they've been doing. Well done, Shiva. We've now got something like 7,500 members, and it's thanks to you. You know, we were very inspired by what you did. And over the past few months, what we've done, we and our fellow Hackney residents of all shapes, sizes, creeds, religions, all of that, we've organised marches, demos, we've forced the media and politicians to stand up and take notice of us. We've written press releases, articles, stunts, the first ever motorcade in Hackney. We've done surveys, articles, filmed interviews with residents and businesses. So we made a real impact. And we even managed to send off the Hackney transport boss, the obnoxious John Burke, who I'm sure you know. We managed to send him on his way. And I think what it shows is that, you know, politicians, you know, they're not used to coming under criticism, and we need to do more of that. Sorry, I'm very forgetful. So that's a small victory, and the road closures are still with us, and we've still, you know, but really important, we had pressure from voters. And all of that we did with your inspiration. If you hadn't started the ball rolling, then none of this would have happened. And there's more. And Hackney, we're taking Hackney to council to court over the road closures, which you probably know about. And that case is particularly important because other boroughs are challenging specific road closures, specific LTNs, because it's really difficult to do, but we're taking on the whole lot. So it's a really difficult and tricky court case. So again, thanks to Danny and Shiva who put so much effort into this. But we need your support. If you want to find out more, donate, talk to Danny and Shiva, or look on our website. And through all of our efforts, Hackney and Islington and elsewhere, we've managed to put road closures at the centre of the debate of the mayoral elections, and people are starting to talk about it in Westminster now. Last summer, if you remember, nobody wanted to talk to us. They dismissed us as UKippers, and if they spoke to us at all. Now, you know, everyone wants to be here and wants to talk to us, and we've got mayoral candidates here today, do you know? So, nearly finished, that's not all. And of course we're challenging, as Martin says, we're challenging councils at the ballot box. You've got Martin and Jodie here, we've got Claire and myself in Hackney. I'm standing in Hoxton East, and I'm standing on a very specific, explicit anti-road closure platform. Because for me, it's what you can say it's one issue, but it's every issue. Because it typifies the arrogance and the contempt that our politicians, national and local actually, have for us, and the way they've treated us over the last few months. I think it shows they're not only out of touch, but they're out of control, really. They're out of touch and they're out of control. Let's remember that. Because they say we can't be trusted to drive, or we can't be trusted to be consulted. They don't think we can make the right choices. They brand us as lazy and irresponsible. They treat us like children. But really it's they who can't be trusted. They can't be trusted with our votes. They can't be trusted to look after our elderly and vulnerable and disabled residents. You can see what they've done to everyone. They can't be trusted to be left alone in the town hall to run our services and to run our boroughs. So it's we shouldn't trust them really, and now we know that we can't ignore them. I think that's what we've done over the past few years is just let them get on with it, but we can't do that anymore. You know, so we're standing on May the 6th, but I think it's just the beginning. We need to see this as a bit of a dry run and prepare for full council elections next year and the mayoral elections. In Hackney, I want to get rid of the mayor. I mean, I think he absolutely needs to go. There's too much power in one person's hands. It's not democratic. We need to keep protesting, marching and doing all of the things we're doing and more. But we need more residents to come forward and stand up. We can do it, and I think you've shown the way forward for us. You know, we need to shake up local politics and we need to clear out the town hall. Can we do that? In fact, I mean, just look at what we've done over the last 10 months or so. It's pretty amazing from a standing start. And during lockdown, when so many of our freedoms were curtailed anyway, and it was so difficult, we've not been able to protest. You know, so we've heard about red walls around the country over the last couple of years. There's a red wall here, and there's a red wall in Hackney, and there's a red wall, Labour this is I'm talking about, in Tower Hamlets, and we need to start tearing it down and asserting ourselves. But we don't need the Tories to do it, we can do it ourselves. So to sum up, here's to everything we've achieved so far over the last few months and to the future, and here's to you. Hopefully it's just the beginning. Let's open up the roads, let's free our streets, and let's tear down those red walls. Thank you very much.
Well done now. Well done. Enough for money, huh? We're going to move the speaker in the middle a little bit so everyone can hear what's being said.
How many times have we seen mobile footage of an ambulance going down a road that's been closed, they turn around and they've got to go the long way round to respond? That person could be dead by the time they get there. And I've had enough of the senior officers, senior police officers, senior ambulance officers misleading the public. They are misleading the public because I've experienced it myself. And I'm not going to go down certain roads, however, they need to stop misleading the public. Once you get into an LTN, of course it's quicker response time because no one else can go down it. So getting to the LTN is the issue. And once you go down an LTN, if there's a bollard or one of those plant pots down there, you're going to turn back around, and that 60 seconds is the difference between life and death. And they don't understand that. Thank you very much for your time, guys. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get a mayoral candidate come up now, Mrs. Ferrer, London.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. And you know what is so incredible is there's so many different boroughs being represented here, and I've actually had the pleasure to go to Enfield, to go to Hackney, obviously Islington, and so many other boroughs, to talk to people, to listen to people, and everyone is having the same problems. And this is why we're here today united, because we all agree on one thing, that Sadiq Khan needs to go. But guess what? The solution is not by putting another politician there, because I tell you something, the Conservatives, all they're going to do is suspend, and that's the word that they've used, but they're not going to get rid of it. We need an independent mayor that actually represents us, the people, that stands for the people and listens to the people and not a political agenda. Because I tell you something, watching all of these LTNs, there is a political agenda. Now something Adise didn't say, but in Enfield, in less than 3 months, they made £1.8 million on fines. Now I've heard in other boroughs, they're making millions there as well. So this has to stop, and we need a mayor with leadership that is going to fight with us. Now the people, they fought back in Harrow, and guess what? They've been removed. So if we continue to stick together and fight the corruption of the mafia-led councils, and that's what they are, mafia-led councils, that they seem to forget that we put them there and they should be representing us, the people, but no, they're representing themselves, and it's about time there is accountability, and we send them a message that they are no longer in charge, there's accountability, and we will hold them accountable. So I urge you, on the 6th of May, vote independent, because that's the only way your voice is going to be heard. It's time to send a message to the Reds and Blues. We will not take it anymore. We are the people, and we are taking back control. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was lovely, Farah London. Here we go. Look at that up there. Look. Woo! Yes. There we go. Here we are. No destruction, please. Okay, so we're going to have another mayoral candidate now coming up. Where is he? Zach. No, sorry. A candidate for the get him mixed up now. Sorry, a candidate for councillor. There we go.
Great, I just got a promotion. That's fantastic. Somebody tell the Conservative Party. Now, first and foremost, thanks everyone for turning up, and especially to LRC for organising today's event. Fantastic of them to do this. Great to get so many people out here to support everyone. As I just mentioned, I am a Conservative. I am Deputy Chairman of Islington Conservatives. I'm also a cyclist. However, I'd like a few moments of your time before you boo me off or throw rotten cabbages to me. I'd like to just point out a couple of things. I'm also anti-LTN. And in fairness, before, a lot of these independent people were standing, and it's great that they're standing and all for democracy. We've been fighting against these road closures. We've been having our stand. A number of you probably signed up on our petition over a year ago. With regards to standing to reverse these road closures. Now, I'm going to bring the elephant into the room. I'm going to talk about it, and that is, who's brought these road closures around? I'm sure a lot of debate has been there amongst all of you. The first thing is that this is a government-funded program. I'm not going to deny that. Nobody's going to deny that. The government's job is to look after the country. Now, they provide the canvas. They provide the paint. It's down to the local councils to paint that picture, to deliver what you need precisely, what you need as a local community. You elect local councillors to do that for you. You elect MPs to provide that platform for everyone. So did the government provide money? Absolutely they did, because they're looking to provide for a greener environment for all. They're looking to provide for a better environment, not just for you, but your next generation and the generations after that. Who doesn't want to sit there and make sure there is a greener, safer environment for their whole family and the generations to come? Please feel free to stand up and say. Now, it is down to the local councils to sit there and use their initiative. You elect these people to use their brains. You use them to provide direction for you, the people. They've taken that canvas, they've taken the paintwork, and it's a pretty ugly picture they've painted. They've taken a community and they've divided it. They've had us standing here. You've got a building that it belongs to us, and we can't stand in front of it. We've got the fact that we have people at loggerheads. We've got constant groups. I've been hounded on Twitter. God, I've been trolled. I didn't even know what being trolled was until recently. So the point though is that yes, this is a government initiative to provide a greener environment for all, but it is the councils that are responsible. We've already seen a number of councils, primarily Conservative ones, have been removing them. Now, I'm not going to look to just speak on about being a Conservative. I am, like the rest of you, a local. And I'm going to talk about some of the local issues that are there. I know I've done work for a number of the food banks. You guys, some of you may know about it, the Ark Food Bank, not very far from here. Now, when I was sitting there and doing deliveries for them, before the LTNs were brought in, I'd be hopping between vulnerable homes, people, young families with young kids who are too scared to go out, and I was taking food to them. I was driving around those homes, and between two of the stops, it would take me 2 minutes. After the introduction of the LTNs, it was taking me 25 minutes to go between homes. Forget about the fact that I was sitting in traffic, creating further emissions, but the food I was giving to young families was going cold in the back of my car. Others of you may also know that I'm involved in soup kitchens that we've been running during COVID times. Some of you here have been volunteers at those soup kitchens. Now, I remember lamenting on one of the social platforms about the fact that it was an issue getting the equipment, getting food to the places that we needed to help the people that needed help. I think somebody chimed up, one of the pro-LTN people said, well, why don't you just put it on the back of a bike? The last time I checked, it's pretty hard to get a 2-foot table on the back of your bike or a 5-litre canister of boiling water. But hey, you know what? It's okay. Let the people who are hungry and starving starve. Let them go without food. That's okay, because you've got your roads, you've got your LTNs, and the proud council that have brought these in are patting themselves on the back, whilst others are sitting there suffering as a result. And I go back to the fact that the government has provided the funding for this, but it is the council.
The Tory government have funded your LTNs. The Tory government,
thank you very much for the introduction.
The government have funded it.
I actually have just said that.
Don't let them get away with it.
Thank you, Jody, for saying. Anyway, thank you, Jody. Thank you for listening for the last 5 minutes to what I've been saying. As I've been saying, it is something that has been paid for by the government, but thanks for chiming in. Anyhow, as I was saying, it's been provided by the government, but it's the council that has decided not to listen to you. It's decided to divide your community, and it's your choice to decide how that should change, be it the mayoral elections, be it the local elections. Now, I also mentioned I was a cyclist, and one of the things that I'd like to bring up is, well, common sense. Certainly these LTNs don't seem to strike that in any shape or form, but as a cyclist, I've been running around the roads. The potholes haven't disappeared. I'm actually more in danger now as a cyclist. I'm more in danger now as a cyclist because I'm being forced into traffic. There's also the fact that when I cycle around, I'm healthy enough to do so. However, I don't take my mother to hospital on the back of my bike. I take her in the car. Tradesmen, they use their tools. They take them in the van. Everyone needs to use these roads. There needs to be an organised way of doing so. Now, I know my time is probably limited because I know we've got a lot of speakers, so I'm going to try and wrap up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, please do, please do.
We all want a better government. We all want a better environment for all. Unfortunately, at this moment in time, we've got a situation where we've got low traffic neighbourhoods producing high traffic neighbourhoods. We've got people from the disabled community. We liaise with the Disability Association of Islington, who have constantly been complaining about the issues that have been raised. And there are a number of other situations, such as the emergency services, and on and on. Myself, I'm standing in Bunhill as a councillor candidate, and one of the things we're looking to do is stand against, one of the platforms is to stand against the road closures. Myself and my other candidates, Harry Nugent in Holloway, Ben Jackson in Highbury West, we've got Mohammed Kalam in St Peters, we've got William Woodruff in Mountwing. We're all standing on an LTN platform. We've been supported by Emma Best, our East London candidate, petitioning against these road closures. I've been chatting to Sean Bailey, and he supports what we're trying to do here is to bring back open roads to the community.
Oh, wait, suspend.
Right, okay. We'll have to start wrapping up a little bit late.
Anyway, a vote for the Conservatives allows us to sit there and change things in the city. So, I appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.
Any politician or bureaucrat, from the top down through the Johnson government, through TfL to the local authorities, any politician that advocates dividing our communities should not be in a position today. Yes! Look at that passion. passion. I'll give you that to the honourable Gary. That is passion. Woo! Here we go. Which one's louder? Right, okay, now I'm a bit stuck here, Sean. So, who else have we got to speak?
Right, I'll take it.
Yeah, so listen, we've got the people here who are standing in certain positions. Does anyone here want to actually ask any questions to these candidates? Anyone? You want to stand up on the stage? You've got a microphone. Anyone?
Go on and ask me.
Who would you like to talk to, Joe? I'll talk to you, Gary. Who would you like to talk to?
Hello everyone, Islington. We're back again.
It's not a Jodie show, Joe.
It's not, but we're back again.
You're all here.
Listen to me. We need to know what questions
are good. Joe, the greater good. This is for the greater good. It's for the greater good.
No,
Farah.
Okay, here we go. Come in, Farah.
Come around here.
And Farah, would you face the camera in one direction for enough? Thank you.
So Farah, we've met a few times, haven't we?
Yes.
Crossed, and for one, you're getting my vote, first vote for mayor. Now tell us, give it a chance. Now tell us how you as mayor, what you would do different to Sean Bailey, who pops up and says, yeah, I'm going to remove them, or actually says he's going to remove the unwanted LTNs. Please give us your definitive answer on the removal of LTNs across London, should you be elected as mayor.
I like to call that a classic Sean, who pops up, says a few words, and then buggers off. The truth is, if you've actually taken the time to go listen to all the different boroughs and neighbourhoods what's going on, you'll understand that there's council corruption. And that's what needs to be dealt with. We need to deal with the corruption going on in the councils. We need to defund the councils, take away that money from them of what they're causing, and we need to make sure that we have representatives from the community on board making decisions, not just council members, because that's what's happening. No one is consulting the local community or the businesses. They're making decisions for them, so that needs to stop. So that's definitely one of the things I will make sure that I'm doing, is to make sure that I am there to listen to the people. I will put an appeals department in City Hall, and the appeals department will be for anyone that wants to complain about their councils who aren't listening, so we can actually get things moving, listening to the people.
Right, okay. We've got Martin Perks now. We'll ask some questions.
Right, well, I want to ask a question to Farah. I also want to ask a question to Zach, the Conservative candidate. And even if we have a Labour candidate in the crowd, but I don't think we do. Well, they are, but the problem I have is that every party, I think Farah and Zach included, are interested in London being the greenest city in the world. My problem is that if you want to defend or widen the debate about greening London, which we've seen in Hackney to a very detrimental consequence, where Councillor Burke, who left because of our pressure, wanted to reworld Hackney, making it a 15-minute city, which basically means you only can walk a mile and that's it. If you defend the idea of London being the greenest city like Calm does, Labour does, the Tory does, surely that equally means you are going to be anti-car. Because cars, as we know, have exhaust pipes that put out pollution. So my question is, and this is a debate, I'm not trying to trip anyone up, I want to know how the Tories and Farah and anyone else who wants to answer the question will either defend London being greener or defend the right of us to use cars, for example, which have exhaust pipes. Where do you stand?
Sorry mate, just about that mate.
So firstly, absolutely, we obviously all want to go green, and that is the objective by 2050, to go green. However, we do not have the technology right now, because an electric car, a warranty of a battery only lasts you around 3.5 years, after which you will then have to spend around £10,000 to get a new battery. So we need to make sure that the tech is available so people can go electric. we need to make sure that there's more charging points for people to charge their cars, because there's not many charging points anymore, especially in Greater London, in the outer areas. Exactly. People need to use a car. We are not Amsterdam. We cannot cycle and walk everywhere, so people do need to use their cars. But we have to be realistic. We have to go green, but we have to do it in a systematic way when the technology is available and when it is affordable, because it's not even affordable right now.
Hello, hello. Yeah, okay, question. Sean Bailey has said that he will pause. That's something I'll do up to Netflix when I'm tired. Or suspend, that's how the judge does to be sentenced, the LTNs. And he said also he's going to get rid of all unwelcome LTNs. So that means that there are welcome LTNs. It don't happen. What will you do? Will you absolutely guarantee us you will get rid of LTNs on day one when you go in? Or start the process?
Absolutely. I stand here to say I will get rid of LTNs because I have seen the damage they have caused. I have been to the communities. I have seen the divide, the emergency services, the disabled, the elderly which are suffering. So no, it's not about suspending. It's about getting rid of the LTNs.
Okay, fella, can I ask you one question? So, how do you propose to do this?
Again, very simple. We need to defund the councils who are using the money. You putting the Ls there.
Sorry.
We need to put pressure on the councils. We have a current mayor that is actually appealing court cases where judges have ruled it unlawful. So we need a mayor that actually stands up to the councils and tell them how it's going to go, not be dictated to.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay.
Leadership. It's very simple. We need a leader.
Grove Street and Highbury Corner. Did you have any changes to them?
I wanted people to tell me it's about you. It's about the community saying what needs to happen. That's called real consultation.
Yeah, go take a walk down and have a look, that's it. Yeah. See what a shambles it is, that's it. Yeah.
I know.
Let's go, right. Get you up, one curtain on.
Because I'm going to sit down with all the councils to work out what the problems are. I've listened to the people, I've been to the boroughs. I know, but the councils aren't listening, so that's why we need a mayor that actually is going to go and have them removed. No one is actually doing that. The mayor is not supporting them. The mayor's given so much power to the councils that they're doing what they want. So we need to start taking back control. That's the problem.
Okay. All right. Well, I think the Mayor of London wields an awful lot of weight, and sometimes I think the Mayor of London wields too much weight, so I think they'll definitely have some influence there. I want to bring this back a little bit locally to a person who's been an Islington resident all his life. He is, I'll just bring it back to Trevor. He has been the chair of the Residents Association for over 20 years and is highly respected in the community. So come in, Trevor. Thank you very much.
I live 5 minutes from the Old Street roundabout. I've chaired a residents association down there for 29 years, and I can categorically say that everybody I talk to within the Bunhill area and myself were not consulted regarding the Old Street remodelling. The Old Street remodelling is an absolute disaster. From the Angel all the way down to Highbury Corner, southbound is absolutely stationary 5 days a week. And even over weekends. If you're coming from east into the Old Street roundabout, you've now got a cycle lane on the left hand side where it used to be 3 lanes coming in, is now down to 2. It's gridlocked. And there is no consultation. So if Miss Farrow wants to know about that, that's the reasons why. Highbury Corner, well, that's a disaster. People are turning around and telling me that from the Archway all the way down to Highbury Corner is an hour on Alloway Road. Oh, it's terrible, and the people in here have got to be made to pay. And I would just say to everybody, whatever you do, vote independent. And I will turn around and say to Zach from the Tory party, right, he turns around and says regarding funding, well, when Grant Shapps, the Transport Minister, gave the funding to the local authorities, why didn't he stipulate how that money had to be spent? Why did he give them the autonomy to be able to do what they want to do? It's no good the Tory party turning around and saying this now. It's too late. The funding has been given and the damage is being done. So that's for me, and thanks very much everybody. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Thank you. Speaking now, Mr. David Curtin.
Thank you everybody, it's so lovely to be back in Islington. Again, really good to see you all again. I remember coming here last year in November at one of the first demonstrations you had against the low traffic neighbourhoods, which are not low traffic neighbourhoods, they're actually high traffic neighbourhoods, because they cause more traffic and they cause more congestion and they cause more pollution than when they were first started and put in. And I'm against the pop-up bicycle lanes and the planters and the curbside street space barriers that Sadiq Khan is putting in all over London on TfL roads. And I promise you as Mayor, I will get rid of them all. But I'm not going to promise to do that on day one, because what the Mayor is in charge of is the TfL roads. So what I can promise you is that anything that is on a TfL road that is a blockage, that is a road narrowing space, I will work to get rid of those blockages from day one. When it comes to the low traffic neighbourhoods that are being implemented by the boroughs, I want you to know that I'm totally against them, heart and soul, because they are stopping local people from being able to drive their cars around, and they have to go far, far longer, and the journey times are doubled and tripled, and they need to be got rid of as soon as we possibly can. But you've got all the different levels of government are working together to put them in. So the money and the drive to put them in is coming from Boris Johnson and Grant Shapps in Westminster. And they've allocated £250 million around the country to put in low traffic neighbourhoods and these kind of schemes, which narrow roads. And in London, £80 million has gone to the Mayor out of the national budget to do this, and then the Mayor gives the money to the local boroughs, whether they're Labour or Conservative, and then they implement them on the local level. What I can promise you is that as Mayor of London, I will not allocate any new money for any new LTN, so the situation won't get worse. But we have to get rid of them smartly, because what's happened, and I hate this, is that they've all been put in under emergency regulation due to the Coronavirus Act. And that is a device that the Johnson government, with the full support of Labour MPs, has put in and extended, and they're probably going to extend it again in September. And the emergency regulation has allowed councils to circumvent the normal democratic process. So what they can do is they can put in these schemes which the people don't want without having a proper consultation. And that is absolutely wrong, and it's undemocratic, and I totally stand against it, and I want no part of it. Woo! But the ones that have already put in, we need to get rid of. And in many, many cases, there hasn't been a proper equalities impact assessment. There haven't been proper assessments of how it's going to affect emergency vehicles, because that is a really, really dangerous result and side effect of these low traffic neighbourhoods, is that ambulances and fire engines and police vehicles can't get in to neighbourhoods to attend emergencies. So I think on that basis, I'll be able to get rid of an awful lot of these LTNs and these road blockages straight away by demanding that the councils make their roads and neighbourhoods safe for emergency vehicles, and that will get rid of the bulk of them. And that is stage one of my plan. And and then we'll do the proper consultations, and when we can, and I will certainly give every help and support to local residents and groups who want to get rid of these LTNs wherever they are in London, including here in Islington. But we have local elections in the boroughs next year in May 2022. So I've started support there from the roads, fantastic. I've started the Heritage Party, and we are against the whole anti-car green agenda, which is pushing this rubbish. I am not against cars, I am not against vehicles. I'm not against electric cars.
Dave, you're going to start wrapping up a little bit.
Okay, if you want to buy an electric car, that's fantastic. You can do it on the free market. No problem at all. But I agree with everybody's right to have a car and to drive it wherever they used to drive it before. And I will support people's free choice in that, and being able to use the roads as they see fit. And we need to just get back to the situation we were in before we had all of these road blockages, and I will do everything in my power as mayor after next Thursday to make that happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. It's very kind. Thank you. So we've got a nice little speaker now. I want everyone to put their ears to listen. This is a little situation that this young lady went through. I'd like everyone to just have your ears on.
My name is Lily Mills. I have a learning disability, and I was stuck in traffic yesterday in an hour and a half. And I missed my tennis.
Thank you very much, darling. Thank you.
The exemptions for blue badge holders.
No, you know what? I don't even want to do that.
Okay, the exemption for blue badge holders, I think this is a big issue that we've got with these LTNs as well. Yeah? It locks people in their houses. Can't see the family. I think this is quite... This is segregating people. Sarah, would you like to come up and have a word? No? Okay, well, I think it's segregating people, the disabled, and you know, the elderly as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's basically what you're trying to say, yeah? Okay. Which is, you know, which is happening. Yeah. It's a discrimination. Here we go. We've got a new speaker.
Okay, this might not be hugely relevant to what's been discussed today, but I've noticed, like, I've been living in Islington now for 40 years, and when I first came here I used to get a parking space outside my flat, which I could pretty much rely on after coming home from work with my shopping, etc., and unloading all my doggy stuff. 40 years later, it's just an absolute frigging nightmare to get a space in my street. I live in Bath Street, down by King's Cross, and it's constantly full of Uber drivers waiting for jobs to be delivered to them. It's full of people working on King's Cross station, the workers there, they're taking up parking spaces. I asked one of the councillors at the Islington Council a couple of years ago about my problem about parking, and he said to me, well, use public transport. And I said, well, I can't because I've got 6 dogs. And then he said to me, well, move to a different borough like I did. I got absolutely nowhere. And the more it goes on, is there a cap on how many vehicles are allowed to be given permits in each borough or in any borough? I just wondered if, you know, there should be a cap on the vehicles that are allowed to be driven in Islington. Who people who've lived here the most should get first priority. That's how I feel about it.
Thank you very much, Deb. Thank you. What's your name, mate?
My name's Peter.
Nice to meet you, Pete.
Right, well, let's get one thing straight. These things are just one big money-making exercise. We all know it.
Right up there. Go on, that's it.
We know it full well. You know.
Go on, Pete.
Keep it to the mouth, mate.
Block of roads right and centre. You know, it's not just affecting. It's not affecting. Not just affecting us residents. It's affecting businesses. It's affecting everybody right across the board. You know, if If it really was about the pollution, they'd let electric cars through, they'd let people through. The fact is, they're not letting anybody through.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yep.
Yeah, they just want to make money out of residents. You know what? We've had enough of it. We're not taking any more of it.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said, mate. Well said.
Hi, my name's Diane. I'm a trade union rep for PCS, but I'm also a resident of Islington. I've lived in Islington all my life, and I was not consulted about the St Peter's LTN. That's why my vote's going for Jodie Grabber and for Farah. Now, the LTNs are causing delays. It's been proved by the London Ambulance Trust at their latest meeting at the end of March. Their reports that they've publicly published on their own website has shown the delays. Every single trust has breached its target, with ambulances travelling from the place that they picked up the patient to the hospital, and including several which are absolutely red, which means that they should be accountable to the government regarding the breaches, but the government is not doing anything about it.
Absolutely.
We've got patients potentially dying, but until we come out of this COVID crisis, we won't have the inquiry, and the inquiry will actually show that the delays are potentially causing deaths of our relatives, deaths of our friends, and that's what I'm going to say.
Thank you. Thank you, my lovely. Councillor Burke's told us pollution was unprecedented. Pollution was unprecedented, and cars were unprecedented. But if you look at the figures, what I did, the pollution is actually going down, not up. And the number of cars over the last 20 years is actually lower, so we're not unprecedented. Now, the other thing is, as a hobby, I do model railways. I'm looking in the 50s. You look at pictures in the 50s, buildings were black with the soot. We don't see black buildings. We don't see black buildings. We don't see soot-covered buildings. Our buildings are actually quite clean. So it's not true. The councils are not only disrupting our lives, they're actually lying to us. They've actually got the figures that say the opposite to what they're saying. We're going to wrap this up quite quickly, but you know, there's candidates here from opposing sides. Like I said, have some respect, show them some love. They've come down here with goodwill, so talk to them, find out who you're going to vote for. Let's come together, collectively vote as one, and maybe we'll end up getting somewhere. Sarah, the gorgeous Sarah, she's even gorgeous behind her mask. I can tell you that much, you know. Anyway, here's Sarah, thank you.
Tell you what he said. Right, the reason that I come here, I've got 2 disabled children, and they have mobility issues, and it's got to the point now where I really need my parents' help. I always have done since they was born. I can't do that now. I can't really rely on my parents because my parents are in the St Peter's ward, and they're segregated. We are completely segregated now, and I have to decide who's going to take which child to which hospital appointment, and plan it all really particularly. I can't send my son into school on hospital appointment days because we'd never get there. So he's missing time off school, and my kids are, you know, they can't walk far enough. They certainly can't cycle. They need their car, and I need to be able to get them everywhere. Not the particular places that you're picking. It doesn't work that way. I have to be able to go to every road to escape I have to escape the Essex Road. Essex Road is a nightmare. It's taking me twice as long to get my son home from school now because of the Essex Road. And now they've closed off that little tiny road now. We have to go all the way around the houses just to get to where I live. So I need them to open it up for everyone, obviously, but especially for disabled people who, through no fault of their own, cannot ride, cannot walk, cannot cycle. Thank you.
Drayton Park, oh, what a nightmare. The people who organise the planning of Drayton Park needs to be shot. What a knobhead! What a knobhead! There's one way in and one way out. Now, if you want to go Finsbury Park, you've got to go all the way to, I won't swear, Holloway Road, Seven Sisters Road, Finsbury Park, and that's a nightmare. A big, big nightmare. So what I'm saying to you is, we need to stick together. If we don't, they can walk all over us. But you know what I'll do? When I used to come into this area, I'll try and go their way. It's a nightmare. You know what I do? I cover my number plates up. I'm straight in. And I have done it 15 times. And I will keep on doing it. Mark my words. Bye-bye.
Mr. Lawrence Fox. Hello Lawrence, I like your film Death Watch, come on, blinding film.
Thank you mate. LTNs are absolutely dreadful. They discriminate against the most vulnerable in our cities, and it's taxation in the name of salvation. Sadiq Khan should be ashamed of himself, and if you vote me for mayor, I will get rid of every single one of them, day one. Yeah! And it's so lovely to see people gathering together and protesting this illiberal, people choosing what is and isn't a necessary journey. That's not the country we live in. Thank you.
Keep making those films. Who have we got now then? I think we've got someone coming through the scene now to see it. Who's that? The Heritage? Who's that? Reform UK. Here we are.
Great to see everybody here. Richard Tice from Reform UK. Do we want London moving again? I can't hear you. Do we want London moving again? Have we had enough of Sadiq Khan? Do we want to get rid of Sadiq Khan? Then vote Lawrence Fox for Mayor of London. Vote Richard Tyson, Reform UK candidates for the Assembly. We will get London moving again. We will scrap all these ridiculous low traffic neighbourhood schemes all over London, and we will get rid of the unjust, divisive ULEZ extension scheme that will impoverish the least well off the most. We've had enough. It's time for change. It's time for Fox and Tice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Short and sweet, but there you are. Okay, anyone else now? That's it. I suppose we're going to wrap it up now. And thank you all for coming out. And yeah, it's really, thank you very much. Thank you all, and thank you to the old Bill. Where are they? There they are over there, look. Thank you very much.
Look, and give it up for Gary. Like I said at the beginning, he is the most honourable person you will ever meet in your life. So give it up for Gary. He has done a sterling job. Thank you, Islington, and God bless. Take care, socialise, talk to your potential candidates, and maybe have a few drinks. Take care. God bless Islington. Thank you.